All right. Well, this morning, thank you, Jeremy and Kat. That was awesome. They put that together. Yeah. We found out we had power here. Well, we thought we had it Monday, but we didn't really get it till sometime late Wednesday and confirmed everything on Thursday, made sure everything worked. And so all this kind of came together in the last 3 days. And so I wanted to share a message with you this morning, but let me just tell you the heart of why we're here this morning. It's really onefold, to be honest with you. It's so we can be back in the same room together. That's why we're here today. So I'm going to keep, who was that? Stephanie was like, we are back together. So we're actually going to go out after this and do a few little service projects, and nothing big. They're small jobs. I've been telling the teams going out, it's a small job. And then they get out there, there's 18 trees on the ground and 4 truckloads of wood to haul. I'm going to go to this other job. I'll come check on y'all later. So we do have a couple of small jobs. If you want to hang around, no pressure. If you want to hang around and help us, you can. We're going to do a little bit of work up here, and then we got a couple of little small jobs. I confirm these are small, okay? And so anyway, that's one of the reasons. But one of the reasons was we just wanted to be in the same room together. So I'm going to keep my message short. I want to just give you a quick encouraging word this morning. Hopefully it's encouraging to you. But then we're just gonna hang out and just have some fellowship time. I just miss you guys, man. I don't know if y'all miss me, but I've been missing y'all. And so we're just gonna hang out and fellowship for a little bit before we head out to a couple of little small projects. And do the Saints play today? At noon? See, Jesus is on our side. They don't play till tonight. LSU didn't play at all yesterday. So sorry. Some of y'all got the spirit of Mississippi State on you this morning. It felt burrowless is what it felt like. And so my TV kept glitching. I'm like, I can't watch it anyway. I wouldn't want to watch it if it wasn't glitching. But some of y'all had your weekend. Listen, you thought you were going to cap off this season of destruction with a great LSU win. And Jesus was like, no, hang on a second. It's still 2020. Come on, somebody. I'm going to do a whole sermon on 2020 memes because there are some funny ones out there. I got to tell you about one. All right, I'm going to tell you about one 2020 meme because 2020 Louisiana is different than everybody else's 2020. 2020 Louisiana has been something else. It was a cup of white wine. All right, it's half full. And it said optimist, half full, pessimist, half empty. 2020, that's P, ain't it? That is 2020 in a nutshell. It's been a long 18 months this year, hasn't it? It's been the longest, shortest year of my life. Like I look back and it just feels like the pandemic started yesterday. But then I look back like the pandemic started 2 years ago. That's what it feels like. It's been crazy. But here's in all of this craziness and all the things that's going on with the pandemic and the murder hornets and the volcanoes and the wildfires and the storms. We had 7 named storms in the water all at one time. I think that 5 or 7, more than one. It was a lot. I saw. Okay, one more funny meme. It was y'all like Pawn Stars. Y'all watch that show? They offer. They say, hey, here's what I want, and he'll say the best I can do for you is, and it's Louisiana. We want a fall. And it's the guy from Pawn Stars, and he says, all I can do for you is a string of hurricanes. So that's what we have been just like, oh, there's another storm in the Gulf coming our way. Great. Thank you, 2020. But in this season, in this pain and the suffering and the heartache, there's still some joy that Jesus is still on the throne. And I want to tell you today how to build your house on a rock. We get this story in Luke chapter 6, in verse 38, he says, "Giving be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men pour to your bosom, for the same measure you meet to you again." So in other words, whatever you give out is going to come back to you. Men are going to pour into your bosoms. And then later in that message, later in that verse, in that chapter, in Luke chapter 6, he tells us how to build our house on a stone. And so I'm going to kind of reiterate this a couple times, but I want you to get it. He starts with this in verse 45. He says, a good person produces good things from the treasury of his heart. So from the abundance of his heart, from the location where it is, because listen, what you hear and what you see and what you read goes down into your heart. That's why we are very picky about the movies we watch in our house. Because PG-13 ain't PG-13 no more. There's a website called Family Media or Media something. Anyway, I'll get it for you if you want it. But it just tells you, okay, here's the rating on the language, and here's the rating on the violence, and here's what it has in it. Because listen, what we hear and see goes into our heart. It says the treasury of a good heart and an evil person produces evil things, it comes out of the treasury of an evil heart. What you say flows from what's in your heart. If you want to know what people, how they really feel and what's really in their heart, just listen to them, because they will tell you. And I'll be honest with you, in these last 4 weeks, I've probably said some things I shouldn't have said. I ain't talking about cussing nobody. I'm just saying I have been negative about some stuff. I've been very pessimistic about some stuff, and that just ain't me. But listen, I'm just going to tell you, it's been very hard to get into the Word on a consistent basis in the last 4 weeks. Is anybody in the house with me? It has been hard. And I have it on my phone. I got my phone in my hand all the time. It's been hard. But what happens is, whatever we fill our heart with, negative people around us, negative news, negative things, it starts coming out. So he says, what you say comes out of your heart. It's what you've been putting into your heart, into your mind. You've been watching social media, you've been watching videos, you've been watching news, and it's going to come out. And all of a sudden, you're starting to transform the people around you in a negative way. And then he says this, so why do you keep calling me, this is Jesus speaking, why do you keep calling me Lord, Lord, you don't do what I say? He's saying, you're saying one thing and doing something else. You're calling me Lord, Lord. You're saying you're following me, but you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. And I know none of you parents have ever experienced this. But you tell your kid to do something, and you got to check on them every hour. You ain't leaving this house till that room is clean. Shoot, they'll hunker down in there for days. They don't care. As long as you got Wi-Fi. Unplug the Wi-Fi. It'll come out real quick. He said, you're calling me Lord, Lord. You're saying that I'm your master. You're saying you're following me, but you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. And he says, I will show you what it's like when someone comes to me, listens to me, my teaching, and then follows it. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. So if you want to know what it looks like when somebody actually comes and does what I tell them to do, this is what it looks like. It's like a person building his house, and here's what I want you to see. It ain't easy. He didn't say the foundation was nice and clean and leveled out and ready to go, Scott. Like I don't know what you call that, but the pipes already ran and the electricals ran and it's ready. You're just ready to put some water. That ain't what he said. He said you got to dig. What's that word? You got to dig deep. And this is a season where we got to start digging deep. We got to start going, you know what? Yes, I'm busy. Yes, there's tragedy all around me. Yes, I'm telling y'all, man, in this season, like, if I'm helping somebody with a shower trailer, I feel like I should be feeding people. If I'm feeding people, I feel like I should be with my family. If I'm with my family, I feel like I should be at the church doing something. If I'm at the church doing something, I feel like I should be cleaning somebody's yard. And I never felt like I was where I was supposed to be. But I had to stop and say, okay, God, what do you want me to do? I have to stop and say, God, where do you want me to be? Where am I best suited for me right now? Where am I supposed to be leading right now? What am I supposed to be doing? And you got to stop and you got to dig deep. It's going to take some work. Y'all, if y'all going to get in the Word this season, it's going to take some work. You thought it was hard in January and February? It's real hard now because you're looking around you, all the destruction, all the stuff you got to do and plan and make phone calls and get in touch with your insurance, all the stuff you got to do. It's going to take some work. You got to dig down deep. And this is the season where I just want to challenge you, and I'm not talking about putting your work boots on. You've been doing that. I'm talking about stopping, right? Sometimes digging deep means sitting for a minute. Sometimes digging deep means taking a break and getting to the Word just for a minute. And I ain't trying to put guilt on you. I'm just telling you, if you're going to make it through this season to come out a stronger person than you went into it, it's going to take Jesus with you to do it. And you're going to have to stop. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is take a nap. Did you know that? The most spiritual thing you can do is take a nap. Did you know that? Joe Dowley, you like that, don't you? I got people in my family, professional nap takers. Professional. But sometimes digging down deep means just stopping for a second and going, I'm going to pause right here. I could be going and busy working and doing. I'm just going to stop just for a second. And he laid the foundation on a solid rock. That's Jesus. When the flood waters rise, it's coming. He doesn't say if. He doesn't say if there's a storm. He says when the storm comes. When the storm comes, when it happens, when the flood waters rise and it breaks against the house, it stands firm because it was well built. Now, it wasn't... I'm going to show you the contrast in a second, but it wasn't well built because it had strong screws. It was well built because of the foundation it was on. So the house was well built. But anyone who hears it and doesn't obey, so that's the people who obey. Here's the people who don't obey. It's like a person who builds a house without a foundation. So they don't have the rock. They're just blowing through life, and they hadn't stopped to get into the Word, and they haven't stopped to pray. And I'm not talking about memorizing the book of Proverbs. I'm talking about reading 5 verses and sitting there for 10 minutes. I just want to challenge you because I know what it's been in my life. I know the chaos in my life. And I'm telling you, I said this on the video the other day, but I have eaten a lot of unblessed food. Anybody with me in the last 4 weeks? How many of y'all had an unblessed meal in the last 7 days? Let me see your hands. The rest of y'all going to hell. I know you stopped just long enough because somebody brought you lunch. You didn't even sit down. You was just, I mean, you look like you hadn't eaten and you didn't even have a fork with you. You know what I'm saying? You're eating rice and gravy with your hands. You didn't bless that. I'm just telling you, I'm thinking about the next thing I got to do, and I hadn't even blessed all of my food. I believe in once blessed, always blessed. That's a Christian joke. Some of y'all get that, some of y'all won't. He says, "I built this house on a foundation. When the flood swept down against that house, it collapsed into a great heap of ruins." Now, let me tell you the contrary. Here's three things he tells us to do if we want to build our house on the rock. Dig down deep. If you're going to dig down deep, you got to do three things. And so here's what he says: I'm going to show you what it's like when someone, here's step one, comes to me. I'm just going to tell you in this season, I've been real with you. I'm just going to keep getting real with you. Stopping and saying, Jesus, what do you want me to do in this situation? Well, God, let me, because here's what happens. We get so tunnel vision, and again, I'm not throwing rocks at you. I'm just saying, let me just rephrase that. I get so tunnel vision on the next thing I got to do. I didn't see the three people I passed at the gas station. Because listen, we're in the people business. Did you know? As a Christian, here's the thing. Right now, we're in the structure business because we're trying to get our houses secured and make sure all the stuff's taken care of. But in that season still, God's telling me, you're still in the people business. And I was pretty much rude to a person yesterday, and I saw him again today, and it's not a church person, somebody else, and I just was as nice as I could be, because I wasn't in a good mindset, man. I wasn't in a good mindset when I saw him, and I was like, okay, I feel bad about that. I gotta work on that, because I'm still, even in the struggle, even in the pain, even in the heartache, I'm still in the people business. And I don't mean as a pastor, I mean as a Christ follower. So if you know Jesus as your Savior, you're still in one too. And here's what he says. This is what it's like. If you're going to build your house on the rock, it's what it's like. It's those who come to me. And I don't just mean for prayer. I mean, if you don't know him as your Savior, come to him. It'll be the best decision you ever made. Just come to him. Just make that step. Come to him. He says, those that come to me, listen to me, and then follows it. So here's number one. Come to me. He's telling you to lean in. Just lean into what he's trying to tell you. Leaning in means you're interested in what they're saying. And if I can just be real with you just for a second, in the world of masks in 2020, there's been a lot of leaning in. Wait, what'd you say? I've got a lot of wrong orders at a fast food restaurants. How about y'all? Because they confirmed it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. I don't know what you just said, but okay. I didn't realize how much I read people's lips. It's a struggle. You lean in. We got to say, okay, God, what are you saying in this moment? What are you trying to tell me in this moment? Because what I think I should do and what you want me to do might be two different things. That's why he said, you call me Lord, Lord, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. Let's lean in and say, God, what step do you want me to take? He's saying, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. I want you to lean into what I'm saying. And here's what it says in Proverbs 4:20, the first part of it says, pay attention to what I say. Now, we are listening to people, right? You have your favorite YouTube influencers or whatever they call those people. You have your favorite people you follow. There's a couple people I follow on videos that I think they're just hilarious and their stuff is pretty clean. And so I'm just listening to them, and all of a sudden they start throwing political stuff. I'm like, okay, this is what he believes. And then I get over here and you start following this person. All of a sudden I got nothing but political stuff popping up on social media, and I don't even want to see it. But that's who I'm listening to. It's who I'm listening to. Listen, he says, listen to what I say. You know how different the world will be tomorrow if we just follow this verse right here? Pay attention to what I say, not me, Jesus. To get into his word, to stop for a second. He's saying, lean into what I have to say. Lean in. Here's number two real quick let me give you. Listen up. So not only just lean in, but listen up. Listen to what he has to say. He goes on to say that, and then that verse in verse 47, he says, I'll show you what it's like when you build a house on a rock. You those who come to me and listen to my teaching. So don't just lean in, listen. Don't just stop and go, okay, God, what are you trying to say here? Listen to what he's trying to tell us. He's trying to tell us something. He's trying to get us to listen up. It's so important in this season that we do this because I don't know what the rest of the year is going to bring. I'll be honest with y'all. I'm calling a flammable blizzard right now. Flammable blizzard. I don't even need firewood for that. Look, I know some of y'all just like, all I want for my birthday and for Christmas and Easter and everything is just for 2020 to be over. I don't know what's coming next. Well, nobody does. Jesus does. But he's saying, just listen to what I'm telling you, because if you'll do what I'm telling you to do now, and listen, guys, I've heard so many cool stories, and let me just say this, as much destruction as has happened in this place, I don't know how more houses aren't totaled. I mean, I can just tell you miracle after miracle after miracle of trees that just went a different way. My parents' house is one of those. It just miracle after miracle. I was talking to Brian Hollingsworth day before yesterday, and he was talking about they were coming back in town after being gone, and he was going to wait and fill up when he got close, like to Pineville. That's how locals say it, Pineville. And everything was closed. There was nothing to get. He had 10 gallons. It was almost empty. He was trying to get back to Lake Charles. He had 10 gallons of fuel in the back of his truck. So he pulls over. He goes to the gas station that's closed. So he leaves and gets on that on-ramp back on the interstate and stops on the on-ramp. Now, who does that? Just stay at the gas station and fill your truck up. So he gets his cans out. He starts filling his truck up, and a guy sees him from the interstate and pulls over and says, hey, man, what's going on? He said, well, I'm trying to get back to the storm. It was a lineman who had a fuel tank on his truck with a pump thing in it. He was like, hey, man, hook it up and go ahead and fill your truck up. What? Like fuel on the go, y'all. Like fuel to go. It's like waiter for fuel. Fuel hub. Anyway, I could have come up with a better word for that. I'll think about it in a second. I'll come up with a cool idea. Some of y'all could be a millionaire off of this idea. But he gets fuel from this guy who happens to see him, who he happened to stop on an on-ramp, and the guy pulls over, fills it up, and he's like, hey, man, my company's paying for it. Y'all go take care of your stuff. That's just one story. Story after story after story after story of God stepping into a situation because we just pause just for a second. He will do it over and over and over. He says, I want you to listen to my teaching. Last half of that verse in Proverbs says this, listen carefully to what I have to say. So pay attention to my words in verse part of it. And then he says, I want you to listen to what I have to say. You know that you can listen without hearing? I mean, you can hear without listening. You can hear without, your kids do it all the time. As a husband, I do it. I can quote my wife back to her what she said, but I didn't process what I was supposed to do after she finished the sentence. Anybody been there? So you can hear without listening. He says, don't just pay attention to my words. I want you to get what I'm trying to tell you. I want you to get what I'm trying to tell you. This is very, very, very important. Here's the next verse in Proverbs 4. Don't lose sight of them. Keep my word. Pay attention to my words. Listen to what I have to say. Don't lose sight of them. Keep them. Let them penetrate deep into your heart. This is very, very, very important. Why in the heart? Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Good fruit comes out of the heart. Bad fruit comes out of the heart. It says, let my words penetrate deep into your heart. I just want to challenge you in this season because that's a struggle for me. Stop for a minute. Crack open the word. Open the app, something. Look at the verse of the day. K-Lo's back on the air. So if you hear a verse, just take a moment. And I'm telling you, your day will get better. It will. I promise you it will. You get some direction. It's going to be awesome. Lean in. I'm telling you, if you'll lean into what he's got to say, listen up to what he's telling you. And then here's number 3 he tells us, and that is straight up just lead on. Lean in, listen up, and then lead on. Now do something about it because we're all leaders here. Go do something about it. Take those steps because here's what he tells us. Back to that verse 47. He says, I'm going to show you what it's like when you build your house on a rock. Those who come to me, listen to my teaching, and then follow it. That's the difference between, I'm telling you right now, action is the difference between believing. I had it and I lost it. It's really good. I'll give it to you in a second. Action is the difference between, okay, I'll think about it. Faith and believing? I don't know. It's good. It's really, really good. It's real good. God, I lost it, man. I should have wrote it down. It's pretty fresh, though. Okay, so listen. We have to then go do something. What's the Bible say? If you hear what I say and then you don't do it, it's like a man who looks himself in the mirror and then leaves and forgot what he looked like. In other words, he got spinach in his teeth and he walked away to an important meeting and he forgot what he looked like. See, don't just read the word, let the word read you. This is so important. I just can't tell you, and I'm telling you the first thing that went out the door, August the 8th, whatever that Friday was, the first thing that went out the window was my time with God. I'm getting real with you. It should have been the main focus for me to get through this season. It's the first thing that went out the window because I was giving him leftovers. When I laid in bed, y'all, I'm telling y'all, there have been nights, well, a night, I told you about this one, where I laid in bed, remembered that I didn't brush my teeth, and didn't get up. Y'all had them nights? I know y'all did. Like, y'all was just so tired. You worked 16 hours in the heat. You were done, and you went home wiped out. I'm just telling you, the time that I did give God was leftover moments or riding in my truck. And I'm not telling you not to give him every little moment like that. I'm just saying make yourself, take some time, follow what he tells you to do, lean in and listen to him, and then follow. And he says, and that person who does that is like one who builds his house, who digs deep. It's going to take some work, lays a foundation on the rock, and when the flood waters rise, it stands because it's well built. And then I want to read this one again. We read it one time, but I want to read it one more time. But anyone who hears and does not obey. Hearing's not enough. It's taking that step. And I want to challenge you that. Build that house on a rock, because when we do, if we don't, it's going to look like this. It's going to be a great collapse. That's our life. He's talking about our life right now. Let's listen up. Let's lean in. Listen up. And then lead on and take those steps and move in that direction. And that's how we build our house on a rock. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. And I'm telling you, in this season and in this moment, it's going to take more effort than it did in January. Because you got to make yourself not do those things. You got to make yourself stop just for a second. It's so, so, so important. And I want to challenge you guys. The church will get stronger when us as individuals get stronger, when our families get stronger. And the church is strong, but listen, we got work to do. We got steps to take. It's important that we build our house on a rock. Dig down deep. I want to challenge you with that this morning.